What are the sort of if I put a number on it, say what are the 3 habits that you as individuals have that have made you uniquely successful in your careers and have maintained that sort of career path? And Sanjev, I'll start with you this time.
I don't know if it's unique, but I mean, I think always try to have a positive outlook because, I think we all have to accept that in life we have challenges, we have ups and downs, and that comes at different times, and sometimes it comes at the most unexpected times. But I try to maintain a positive outlook and have a genuine belief that one can overcome. So that some people would call that determination. Positivity, that side I think is very important. Another one is, I think, a point that Leslie mentioned right at the outset, hard work. I think one has to be willing to accept that in the legal profession, whether it's in the city or elsewhere, it is going to involve hard work, and with that sometimes comes the need to sacrifice, and particularly in the legal profession where we are, it is ultimately a service business. It's a client service business, and sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself, and sadly sometimes even friends and family in short doses to do that. So the willingness to engage in that hard work and provide that service is really important. And the other thing I try to, and I actually learned this as an article clerk in a young day, is to try and plan ahead. I think, rather than necessarily taking each day as it comes, to try and make some goals for yourself and plan how you get from A to B to C to D, and recognise that sometimes there will be obstacles in those ways, and try and do the best you can to plan around those obstacles. But I think planning is important. But at the end of the day, it comes back, I think, probably to a positive approach.
Leslie, could I ask you, what would be your sort of, if I limit it to 3, the 3 overriding?
Can I stretch it to 4? I'll be very quick.
As your QC, I'm not going to disagree.
All right. Okay. One of them has already been mentioned. Goal setting. I completely agree. I think that is a common theme amongst the successful people I know. Having achievable, realistic goals and working to them every day. Secondly, self-motivation. You really do need to know how to kick your own butt. When you don't want to do things. It's easy doing things when you want to do them, but it's when you don't want to do things, dragging yourself out of bed, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or leaving work, leaving the office or leaving chambers at 11 o'clock at night because you know that you need to get something done. Thirdly, knowing it's okay to make mistakes, right? Most of the positive things that I've learned have come from errors that I've made, and not beating myself up over that, but learning from those mistakes. It's real madness though if you're making the same mistakes and get time and time and not learning from that. And then, thank you for this. Fourthly, not listening to naysayers. There's so many people out there who will tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that. Those naysayers who suck your energy dry and will give you a million ways as to why you can't do something, as opposed to coming up with something positive as to how you can achieve something.
Margaret, you only get 3, I'm afraid.
That's all right. I can deal with it in 3, I think. The first one I would say is really. It goes back to what I said earlier on. Build relationships. Build relationships with your fellow colleagues. Build relationships with your clients. It's so easy to just get stuck behind a screen and think you're doing your best, and people will forget that you're there. People forget how good you are, but also you hear things on the grapevine. It turns you into just a more robust individual if you are actually building a rapport with people. It also strengthens you because, you know, the number of times you will get knocked down in spite of your not listening to the naysayers, and it's fantastic to have that network. So it's really critical to build relationships. Also, it does mean that the clients, if you're, you know, particularly in private practice, but even in-house, that the clients understand what value you add because they see you as a person rather than just a piece of the machinery. The second one is, I think, really knowing your subject. I mean, it's so banal, really, but you know, just not sticking at the obvious things, but reading around it to such an extent that you are the go-to person for everything to do with that subject. Just, you know, really make sure that it's part of your DNA. So I'm trying to strip the list down. And then I suppose making time for your family and friends is really important. And I don't think you'd have expected me to say that because, but I think it's really important again because the law is so intense, and you can easily spend, you know, 18, 19 hours a day at work and then go home, have something to eat, have a bath and start again, and not build anything else. What is going to be your saving grace is actually having that just method of just getting away from it all and creating a freshness to yourself and creating something outside of work, because work doesn't go on forever. I've retired and I can't tell you how glad I am that I've got a husband and a daughter and friends, because you know, there's more to life than work. But also the other thing that's really important about that is if you are building relationships, the fact that there's more to you is what makes you a nice person to be with. There are tens of thousands of lawyers for the clients to choose from, and you know, why should they choose you? They choose you because they recognise that you're actually a well-rounded human being. And so having something outside of the office is critical to help that roundness. You know, and if necessary, take the clients with you to the match or the ballet. That's fine. Bring them home with you if necessary. But you know, don't forget to have a family life. It's absolutely critical.
Thank you so much. Can I just say that today's topic was the habits of highly successful people. I think we've come up with the 9 definitive habits, which I will try to summarize. I think number 1, well, not in any particular order, shall I say, positive outlook. And number 2 is hard work. Number 3, goal setting, planning ahead. Number 4 is to be self-motivated. Number 5, okay to mess up. I love that one because it's the hardest thing as human being. We want to be perfect all the time and yes, and then you beat yourself up and what's the point? Next one is, you know, believing yourself really, because then listen to the naysayers, believing what you want to do, because if you let the naysayers sort of get the way, then you start doubting yourself. Building relationship. It's so interesting that Margaret came up with that because I think that's what women do naturally. So it's very interesting that it was really something very important for her. Building relationship, building networks, and it's not just about, it's about building with clients, with colleagues. In fact, external, is one lady who told me, actually, she said, not just internal relationship, but also external relationship. So you focus inward and outside. And finally, make time for fun. So family, friends, whatever excites you, ballet, music,